Black and White are the best written romance the Pokemon Company has ever done. But while Black's team is full of insanely strong Pokemon, White's team, well, it's not exactly top-notch. So I was thinking, if we're stuck with her mediocre team, is it even possible to beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon White? Well, there's only one way to find out, as we spawn into the world as White. Our friends Charon and Bianca are here to pick up our starter Pokemon, and this is one of those rare moments where not only do we grab Tepig to join our party, but we sneakily take Snivy too, giving us 2 starter Pokemon. In the manga, White didn't have a true starter Pokemon like a normal trainer, but her first starter Pokemon would be Gigi the Tepig. Gigi was a Pokemon actress, and she would often pair up with Black's Tepig to do media shootings. You can tell which is which by Gigi's cute little bow on the top of her head. White's other starter Pokemon would be Amanda the Superior, who was part of the original starter trio, but N stole her and took her on his adventures. Later on, he'd battle against White inside the Ferris wheel, and this is the moment where Gigi and N connected with each other. White was trying to escape, but after calling out to Gigi, she chose to join N's team and completely abandoned White.
Bruh.
Look at N's face here, me when we have to go around in a circle and say our name and a fun fact about ourselves. Well, Servine started following White after this, ultimately joining her team and evolving into Superior later on. So with our 2 team members, honestly, I think Gym 1 is definitely doable, but I still wanted to get one last encounter. Just like how I swapped out the Elemental Monkey for Rufflet in Black's Manga Nuzlocke, I'm gonna do the same here for White's counterpart, which is a Vullaby named Barbara. Genuinely, these are some of the worst nicknames in manga history. Amanda and Barbara.
Barbara Bush.
Yes.
It gets worse too, I'll show you as we go further. Well, in the manga, Barbara was caught by White to play the more villainous roles in her movies. She never managed to evolve into her final form, finishing the arc at level 42, but since we're bringing out the full potential of her team, I'm gonna try my best to keep her alive to get that Evo. Gigi won't be evolving though, since that goes against her whole character arc, so if I'm gonna do this for anyone else, then I'll clarify that beforehand. So with team member number 3 on board, we're good to head in to take on our first gym challenge. And since we grabbed Tepig first, that means we're facing off against Cress, who is the water specialist of the 3. I wanted to save our health for his Panpour in the back, so we're leading with Gigi to take care of his lead Lillipup. A couple embers later, and the pup goes down, while we barely took any damage ourselves. That only leaves Panpour, but that's Amanda's job, as a couple Vine Whips can deal with his ace, winning us a pretty straightforward badge number 1. Shout out Barbara for doing nothing this whole battle.
Barbara Bush.
Yes.
Now that we've got access to the Cut HM, we can make our way into the Dream Yard to take out Team Plasma. By the way, apparently this is the only place where you're required to use an HM. I remember hearing about that, but I'll have to keep an eye out if there's any mandatory surf or strength spots. Our next stop is to help Charon with Team Plasma again, and this time, it's a double battle all the way in Wellspring Cave. We've got the power of our double starter core to take them out, so with Team Plasma handled for now, we can make our way into Nacrene City for our next gym challenge. And this one, I'm actually scared for. Lenora starts the battle with Herdier, immediately cutting our attack with Intimidate, and okay, pause for a sec, pause. Okay, Herdier's not even the real problem. Yeah, he drops our attack and all, but once he goes down, Lenora's got a Demon Watchhog in the back. With the boosted Retaliate, which goes from 70 base power to 140 base power since Herdier always dies, and then the stab boost from being a normal type brings it to 210 base power. I need to think of a way to play around it, so my strategy is to set up with Nasty Plot. Our special attack is awful, but I was hoping for the +4 boost to help us out. Unfortunately, Herdier does way too much damage with Takedown, which means once Watchhog comes out, we won't be able to survive long enough to 2-shot her. I think we all know who's gotta make the sacrifice. Since Gigi can't evolve past a Tepig, we might as well make the sack. But Gigi lives! I didn't know it at the time, but Gigi's HP and defense stats are nearly perfect, which let her tank the hit. And now that Retaliate's no longer boosted, we can pretty safely switch into Amanda to set up the Leech Seeds. Even though we're put to sleep with Hypnosis, the seeds are keeping us healthy as we wake up at the last minute to connect with a Leaf Tornado, even getting a boost thanks to our Overgrow ability, securing us the clean knockout and winning us a very sweaty badge number 2. As we make our way through Pinwheel Forest, I just wanted to say a huge heartfelt thank you for all the support on the videos lately. Anyone who's watched or liked, commented, subscribed, all that stuff, thank you all so much. I'm not really good with like the sentimental stuff, but I see you and I really appreciate you for being here. Well, arriving in Castelia City, we headed straight to the next gym to make our way through the honey puzzle. This is an example of how the Nuzlocke snowball effect could have taken place, since if we had lost Gigi in the second gym battle, then I'd be a lot more scared to face 3 bug types with a single Volibee, especially that Dwebble, but luckily, since our team's still intact, I feel a lot more confident. Gigi starts the battle to set up Flame Charge on his Whirlipede, dealing over half as Whirlipede fires back with the Poison Tail, getting not only a critical hit, but also a poison. At least we can take him out on the next turn, but that means our time's cut short as Dwebble comes out. I'm forced to switch into Amanda to set up a Leech Seed, and Dwebble does hit us back with a super effective Strugel Boojel, but off of that horrible special attack, we can survive it and start healing up with the seeds. Dwebble can't break through our heals, so he eventually goes down as Burgh's only left with his ace Leavanny. And a Strugel Boojel will definitely hurt here, but Barbara, with her quad-effective pluck, can pluck Leavanny's final leaves from his abdomen, winning us a pretty straightforward badge number 3. That's basically all we've got to do in this half of Unova, so we can head through the deserty Route 4 and arrive in Nimbasa City. Here, we can finally catch another team member, which is going to be Solly the Solosis. In the manga, when White was training in the battle subway, she revealed she had caught a bunch of Pokemon to round out her team. Some of these guys are spoilers for later, but we can't even catch them yet to help us out for the next challenge. Now, real talk here, the next gym leader is actually impossible in my opinion. Obviously, Barbara's gonna be a bench warmer here because of her flying type, and you might think Amanda's got a decent counter thanks to us resisting electric, but both her Emolgas have Aerial Ace to hit us, and her Zebstrika's got Flame Charge as well. The Emolgas also have Pursuit for Solly, and for Gigi, well, it's Gigi. Like, we've lost our opportunity to be MVP at this point. Well, Elesa starts the battle with Emolga, and the best I've got is Solly as our lead. We immediately get outsped as Elesa pivots out into her second Emolga, but with the held Eviolite and also setting up a light screen, we can make it easier to survive her Volt switches as we fire back with Rock Tomb. That was my speed control, but yeah, Emolga's way too fast. But it also lets us chip its health without putting them into heal range, so we can use a Psyshock to finish off the rest of her HP, getting the cheeky KO and removing the first threat of her team. It's the same deal for her second Emolga, but we got a lucky crit and didn't need to finish the job with Gigi, which now only leaves Zebstrika, and I've only got one idea for this horse. Yeah, we are weak to Flame Charge, but Leech Seed's consistent damage is something that I just can't pass up. And with Mega Drain for some extra healing, our double regens keep us really healthy as we slowly drain her ace. The seeds finish off her last bit of health, meaning we've just clutched up and won ourselves a very tricky badge number 4. With Elesa recruited, she helps us lower the drawbridge, allowing us to make our way over to Driftvale for the next gym challenge. I do want to catch one more team member first, who's gonna be a deerling named Darlene. In the manga, Darlene was White's first real capture, which she really struggled to catch. Even Deerling looked confused here, but Black stepped in to lend a hand since he already had catching experience. He sent out Galvantula to target a wild Tortuga, and the two of them threw their Pokeballs at the same time to catch both targets. Look at these two, man, so wholesome. So with all our encounters obtained for this section, we can clear out Team Plasma from cold storage with the help of Gigi actually, since, look, if anyone's gonna die from a straight crit, I'd rather it be Gigi. And for the upcoming gym, I'm honestly a little scared of his Excadrill, but I'm optimistic since we've got good answers for the rest of his team. With everything ready, we can head underground to challenge him. Clay leads with his Krokorok, and we've got a really good answer in Barbara. We're immune to his Bulldoze, and we also resist Crunch, so if he wants to use Swagger to boost our attack, then I'm all for it. Except, I forgot to equip a Persimberry. But luckily, we go unpunished as we break through the confusion and take him out with another Pluck. This immediately baits out Excadrill, and since he's got Rock Slide and definitely outspeeding, even if we weren't confused, I can't really stay in. At least we can switch into Amanda as Excadrill sets up the Hone Claws, but a Rock Slide does way too much damage after the boost. This is really a demon set, dude. Hone Claws boosting his accuracy means Rock Slide's got perfect accuracy. But at least, since we've set up with Leech Seed, we can stay pretty healthy and even switch into our Eviolite Solly to use Charm, lowering his attack by 2 stages. Finally, with everything set up, we can bring out Darlene for the killing blow, firing off a super effective jump kick for the knockout. And with only Palpitoad left, Amanda comes back out to fire off an Overgrowth boosted, Miracle Seed boosted Mega Drain, getting the clean quad effective one-shot and finishing off his final Pokemon, which wins us a well-fought badge number 5. With Clay recruited now, he helps us clear out the Electro Web blocking Chargestone Cave, so we can start making our way through to the next town. Team Plasma is here doing Team Plasma stuff, but we can pretty easily make our way through and take out N as well. There's a reason why I haven't been mentioning these rival battles, and yeah, it's because they all forgot about the level cap and they're like 4 or 5 levels under. Solly also evolves into Duosian, and while White didn't evolve her into Reuniclus, they ended their adventures at level 32, so when we hit level 41, I'm gonna allow the evolution as a natural way to continue her journey. Arriving in Mistralton, we have to retrieve Skyla from the Celestial Tower, but the battles on the way up are not that bad. Darlene even evolves into Sawsbuck, which I'm gonna allow since White and Darlene finished their adventures at level 33, and Deerling evolves at 34. So with the bell rung, Skyla's happy with this little charade as she heads back to the gym for us to challenge her. I've cooked up a decent strategy, and you'll see it right away as we're leading with Gigi for some reason. Yep, we're dealing with physical Swoobat here as she outspeeds and hits us with the Heart Stamp, even getting a critical hit, but we can counter back with a Will-O-Wisp. That cuts her attack in half, letting us tank these hits much better before we switch into Barbara for the Psychic immunity. A single Feint attack can finish her off as Skyla sends out Unfazant next, but this Unfazant's got a really bad moveset, so we're free to stay in as she wastes 2 turns for a Razor Wind. Rock Tomb's a nice speed control option, letting us outspeed on the next turn to 2-shot him with Feint attack again. Swana's out last, but a little secret about Swanna, this Pokemon sucks. Solly can come out and fire off a Psyshock, getting the one-shot and winning us a very easy badge number 6. Beating Skyla means we now have Surf unlocked, so we can backtrack a bit to catch another encounter who will be an Alomomola named Nancy. Yeah, we're back to the bad nicknames again. Sorry if her name is Nancy, it's a very old person name. In the manga, Alomomola was another one of those battle subway Pokemon, and good thing White caught her, cause we really needed some kind of bulk on the team. The next thing we've got to do is clear through Twist Mountain and head towards the next town, which is going to be Icarus City and also the home of our final encounter, a Stunfisk named Dorothy. She was another battle subway Pokemon, also with the horrible nickname, and yeah, I have no idea what the writers were doing with her team at this point. You've got some of the all-time ugliest Pokemon on her team. Like, my girl did not deserve this final team. I'm convinced the rest of her team was supposed to be Garbodor and Vanillix, but it got changed somewhere in development. Well, speaking of Vanillix, we've still got to take on the gym leader while we're here. He specializes in ice types, and unfortunately, a good chunk of our team is weak to him. Still though, as he starts with his Vanillish, we can lead with Nancy to set up an Aqua Ring. The Ice Cream can hardly touch us, so a few Surfs later, and not only does Brycen waste all his Hyper Potions, but we can also take him out while staying healthy thanks to the Aqua Ring. Beartic is out next, but we again wall his bear as we continue firing off Surfs. Beartic does confuse us with Swagger, but thanks to our Wish Protect strats, we can stay pretty healthy as we wall the rest of his moves to take him out. And that just leaves Cryogonal, but Nancy's done enough at this point. We can tag out into Solly, tanking the Aurora Beam thanks to our Eviolite, as we fire back with the Flash Cannon, which we had picked up in Twist Mountain, and thanks to our high special attack, we can pretty easily finish off his final team member to win us an admittedly pretty stally badge number 7, but still a victory nonetheless. So with the 7th badge under our belt, we've got to take care of all the Team Plasma stuff. The first thing we do is head up Dragon Spiral Tower to clear out all the grunts thanks to our newly caught Stunfisk. N is here too, as he summons Reshiram, so now we've got to chase him to Relic Castle for the second half of the fetch quest. Alder and Getsis are here, but with N nowhere to be found, the best we can do is grab the Darkstone from Nacrene City before we're finally allowed to continue on our journey. After making our way into Opelucid City, we meet up with Drayden and Iris to catch them up on all the events with Team Plasma. And with all this talk of ancient dragons, there's no better place to practice against them than the 8th and final gym. Our team isn't exactly equipped to deal with dragon types since we don't have good dragon or ice coverage, so we've really got to train up. Solly can evolve into Reuniclus, but that's about it for our prep, since Serperior's Dragon Pulse doesn't come until the remakes as a tutor move, and Ice Beam for Alomomola is a post-game TM. So starting off the battle, Iris leads with Fracture as we're starting with Solly. I figured, hey, with the bulky Mon in front of her, the AI might waste a turn with Dragon Dance, but no, she uses Assurance for a decent chunk. Regardless, our Psychic still fires back into her lead for a simple one-shot, taking her out as Iris sends out Druddigan next. We can tank a Night Slash thanks to that great bulk and fire back with another Psychic, bringing them to under half as we switch out into Dorothy on the next attack. My strat is to use Bulldoze to lower her speed, causing Iris to use a Hyper Potion before we take her out with the Night Slash from Barbara. That only leaves Haxorus now, so we can get a bit of chip in with Fly as Haxorus very scarily sets up with Dragon Dance. At the very least, we know she's going for a negative priority Dragon Tail, so Darlene gets dragged out to finish her off with one last takedown, surviving on just 14 HP and winning us our 8th and final gym badge. With only the Pokemon League left in our way, we can clear through the badge checkers and make our way through Victory Road. I really want to get Mandibuzz, but our level cap is 50, and Volibee doesn't evolve until level 54. I know it's only 4 levels, so I'm gonna try my best to get there with our upcoming battles through the Elite Four. So with everything prepared, we can step into the chamber for the final challenge of the run. Since you can do these in any order, I figured the easiest is probably to take out Marshall first. Our Solly is a great answer to his fighting types, as we go for Expert Belt boosted Psychic after Psychic, taking out Throw in a single hit, along with his Mienshao and his Sock. Well, he lives on 1 HP thanks to his Sturdy ability, so as Marshall heals with a full restore, we can switch into Amanda to start setting up with Coil. We're running a physical Serperior this time, and with our super effective Aerial Ace, we can bring down his Sock pretty easily, as well as his Conkeldurr, since Coil also boosts our defenses and lets us tank his attacks, making that 1 down with 3 more to go. Next up, I felt like Grimsley wouldn't be too tough to deal with, so as he starts with Scrafty, it's Darlene's time to shine as we can take him out with our super effective Jump Kick. He does survive the first one, but we can tank a Brick Break and take him out on the next turn with the Horn Leech to get a little recovery back too. That's the only threat for us, since his Ace Bisharp goes down to a single Jump Kick. Liepard actually chips us with Fake Out, but another Jump Kick demolishes him too, and finally, Crocodile comes out to drop our attack with Intimidate, but our Horn Leech keeps us healthy as we take out his final team member, making that 2 down with only 2 members to take on. It was a little tough to choose which one to fight next, but I ultimately went with Chantal since I wanted to get a little more XP. She leaves with Cofagrigus, and the only answer I've got is Barbara. We outspeed and go for a feint attack, dealing a decent amount of damage before the Coffin cuts our attack with Will-O-Wisp. We can squeeze in a Toxic on our way out, but with the resisted Shadow Ball and burn damage, it's not a winning battle. We switch into Darlene, and Chantal heals back all that health with the full restore, so Barbara literally didn't do anything. Great job, Barbara. At the very least, we can 2-shot her with Horn Leech for the first KO, which then baits out her Chandelure. This is for sure gonna be a Fire Blast, so Nancy can come out to tank it as we set up the Toxic and hit her with the Hard Scald. Then we can even Protect to let the Toxic damage rack up, and this is absolutely heal range, so we can safely go for our Wish Protect strats to heal up ourselves. A little more stalling later, and we can wear down her Ace while we just narrowly survive on 17 HP. Jellicent comes out next, but that's the perfect switch for Amanda to tank the Surf as we take her out with Leaf Blade. It's actually a one-shot, but her cursed body prevents us from using it again. Luckily, she's only got a Golurk, so Darlene finishes off her final Mon, winning us a very tough battle and making that 3 down with only 1 more to go. That only leaves us with Caitlyn left, and since we don't have Mandibuzz yet, I'm pretty scared for this one. At the very least, we can lead with Solly against a Reuniclus for the mirror matchup, and since we're running Shadow Ball and she's not, we can make her waste all her heals as we take out her lead with a couple attacks. Musharna comes out after for the Shadow Ball coverage, so I bring out Darlene for the immunity as we fire back with max power returns. 2 hits is all we need to take her out as Caitlyn sends out Sigilif next. This is always Ice Beam, but Nancy is our resident bulky water type as we tank it and start firing back with Scalds. We slowly outstall Sigilif as one last Scald takes her out, leaving only one Pokemon left in our way. Caitlyn sends out Gothitelle, and thankfully, since she doesn't have Shadow Tag, we can bring out Darlene on the baited Shadow Ball for the immunity before firing back with Hornleech. The heals guarantee us to survive her Psychic, meaning with one last return, we can finish off her ace and win us all 4 Elite Four battles. But even with all 4 battles, that still isn't enough XP for us to get Amanda Buzz. But we do have one more chance. Team Plasma summons their castle from the ground to surround the Pokemon League, as the 7 sages even step out to stop us. Luckily, I've already had my 7 ice-cold beers, so dealing with these guys is not really an issue. At the heart of the castle, we can find N just chilling there, as he summons Reshiram to crash through the wall to take us on. But luckily, the Darkstone rises up from our bag and starts glowing too, as Zekrom bursts from the stone to aid us in battle. We just chuck the Master Ball at him, but I'm not adding him to the team. Instead, as N challenges us to a fight, he's starting with his Reshiram as we're starting with Nancy. So the thing about this battle is Reshiram is coded to always use Fusion Flare on turn 1. I think it's to show off the synergy with Fusion Bolt, but we can take advantage of that info to lead with our bulky water type. We start Toxic Stalling as Reshiram can hardly touch us in return, and our Wish even keeps us healthy at the same time. So a few turns later, and Reshiram succumbs to the Toxic, causing N to send out his Klinklang. That's an easy switch into Dorothy on the Thunderbolt immunity, and we're pretty safe to fire off 2 of our own to finish off a second Pokemon. Vanillix comes out next, threatening to use an Ice move, but we can go right back into Nancy to start stalling again. The Wish Protect strat keeps us healthy as we slowly start stalling him with Toxic as well, eventually finishing him off after a little back and forth. Zoroark comes out and tries to pick us off with Focus Blast, but we hold strong and continue healing up with Wish Protect before finishing him off with a couple Scalds too. Then, against his Caracosta, Amanda can grab an easy KO with Leaf Blade, leaving only his Archops. But Amanda actually outspeeds with Leaf Blade, meaning we can always knock him into Defeatist range to allow us to survive the acrobatics. Then one more Leaf Blade and that's Archops down, meaning we've just defeated N with only one last battle in our way. And just in time too, because Barbara finally reaches level 54, evolving into her final form Mandibuzz to help us out in the last battle against Ghetsis. We can't change the order of our team, so we're leading with Nancy from the last battle as he starts with Cofagrigus. We already know how to deal with this, we're going for our Toxic Stall strategy, but Ghetsis has the same plans. But unlike the AI, we can actually make good decisions as we switch into Darlene on a Shadow Ball before our toxic damage racks up too much. Ghetsis does heal, but with Hornleech doing pretty decent damage, we can just take him out a few turns later while staying at full health. Ghetsis sends out Hydreigon next, and there's not a lot of good options we can switch into. I think the AI sees a few viable moves, either Fire Blast or Focus Blast, and both of those have a good chance to miss. So we've got to stay in and go for the jump kick, but Hydreigon connects with the Fire Blast. Darlene goes down, giving us the first death of the run. I figured we can bring out Nancy on the free switch, tanking a Dragon Pulse as we set up the Toxic. With the poison ticking away, we're forced to sack another team member as Nancy takes the second attack and finally goes down. It was at this point when I realized, Hydreigon doesn't have any dark type attacks. We bring out Solly, who not only tanks a Dragon Pulse thanks to our bulk, but also connects with a Focus Blast. That's a very clean one-hit KO thanks to our Expert Belt, meaning we are back in the game. Ghetsis sends out Bisharp, and since this is definitely a Night Slash, we can pivot through Barbara for the resist, then switching into Dorothy on a failed Metal Burst. A quick para and 2 Thunderbolts later, and Bisharp goes down. He did put up a good fight though, so as our 3 HP buddy is staring down Ghetsis' incoming Bouffalant, we've got to take our third sacrifice for the clean switch. That's half our team, but we can bring out Barbara for free and start chipping away with Fly. And with the Bull doing damage to himself with each head charge, we can survive long enough to take him out, but just barely. Ghetsis is down to only 2 Pokemon now as he brings out Electros. There's no way of surviving this one, so this is gonna be sack number 4. But at the very least, we can set up a Tailwind as a final act before going down. Our only option is Solly, who, thanks to the Tailwind, we can outspeed and 2-shot with Psychic, taking out his Eel and leaving only one last Pokemon. Seismitoad is out last, but since he has Sludge Wave, there's not a guaranteed safe switch. We've gotta make sacrifice number 5, letting Solly go down as our Tailwind peters out. Peters out? Peter Griffin? But we didn't even need the Tailwind, as Amanda, our starter who joined our team from the very beginning, outspeeds and fires off a Leaf Blade, scoring the quad effective hit and winning us not only the final battle, but the entire run. That was a really fun challenge, and honestly a pretty unique team. It's not every playthrough that we can use 2 starter Pokemon, and I think I'm ultimately happy with the choices we made to continue her journey and fully evolve her team. Otherwise, it would have looked like this, and then I'd probably never use these guys, so it'd end up being a crap ton of Toxic Stalling with Alomomola or setting up with Coil on Superior. So being able to actually use Darlene or Solly made this playthrough so much more fun for me, and I hope much more fun for you guys. If you liked it and you're looking for a similar video, I would highly recommend this manga playthrough for you to watch. I promise if you like this video, then you'll like this one too. Okay, see ya.